You're listening to the Watercooler Edit with Chris and Rich.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Watercooler Edit with mybayut. On this episode, I'm joined once again by my special guest, Iman, and as always, my co-host, Rich. And on this episode, we'll be talking about off-plan developments. And of course, if you watched the previous episode, you'll know what off-plan means. But if you missed that episode, Iman, tell us more about off-plan properties.
We did cover this last time, but just a quick run through. Off-plan is when you're buying properties that have not been handed over yet, that have not been constructed. So basically, you're buying it before anything is really built. And the reason why you'd want to do that is because it's actually priced a lot more competitively compared to ready properties. You can, one, get it at a lower investment. Two, you can actually start off by investing with a much lower amount. So instead of, say, buying the whole property or maybe buying 80% or putting it on a mortgage or anything of that sort, you just have to book 10 to 20% and then the rest you have to pay on a payment plan while the property is actually getting constructed.
Now, I like the word that you used there, it's competitive pricing. Because off-plan is actually a cheaper alternative to get yourself on the property ladder.
Yes.
It's not as cheap or budget-friendly as you might think it is, but it is an alternative because, you know, I'm looking at property, I've come to that age that I should start looking at a future investment. And off-plan is always something that I'm looking at there. But then it's always the fact that the building doesn't technically exist in this time, but it will be eventually. So it's kind of a, I don't want to say it's a gamble. I don't want to say it's a risk either. It's something that you can look at getting, but you just have to be cautious sometimes.
Yes. So I think it depends on your priorities when it comes to this. And I think any kind of property investment is a risk. It is a gamble. Any investment is, right? You're basically putting money up and you're saying, okay, fine, I hope this does well, or I hope I get whatever I'm looking to get out of it, right?
And of course, over the past couple of years, and I don't know why I say past couple of years, past couple of decades, there's been a lot of off-plan, right? But in recent times, there have been some really, really interesting ones that have popped up. The Palm Jebel Ali has returned after hiatus.
It's back.
What would have been cool about it if they gave it a new name? You know how Prince kind of came back a number of times?
As the artist formerly known as Prince.
Yeah, we could have had the island formerly known as the Palm Jebel Ali. That would have been a good one, right? Or a symbol. It just appears as the palm logo. That's it, with maybe the Jebel Ali somewhere, the JA on either side.
You know, it's twice the size of Palm Jumeirah. Palm Jebel Ali is twice the size, twice as big. That's pretty darn big, I would say.
That's a mammoth amount of land.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it certainly is. I mean, they're talking about having 80 resorts and hotels on there.
And Nikhil Moore Part 2 will be there as well, will it?
Part 2, Part 3 and Part 4, maybe.
So those are the three malls we'll be able to find you inside at any given time.
If you had to guess, because phase 1 has been launched and it's already gotten sold out, what do you think the prices are like on Palm Jebel Ali?
This is the one that was filmed, right? There was a massive queue of people that were buying property.
These were waterfront villas, right?
Yeah.
I think, waterfront.
We saw this with the launch of products. I've never seen this with the launch or the sale of off-plan properties. I never would have thought I'd ever see this, a queue forming up at peak summertime as well.
Yeah.
Like, people were very excited about Palm Jebel Ali relaunching. Off the top of my head, though, not a clue. Probably an astonishing amount of money, probably something close to 25, 30 million. If you're saying it's waterfront, I would assume 5, 6, 7 bedroom houses, correct?
Yes, you are right. You're very close. So the starting price was 18 million. 1.8.
That's not bad for a waterfront property.
18 million dirhams.
Yes.
But for a 5-bedroom waterfront property, I assume it's a 5-bedroom, is it? Or
Yes, so that's the starting layout, and obviously it's a Nakhil development. It's going to be very similar to Palm. It's going to have unparalleled luxury. It's going to be beachfront. You're going to have a lot of access to private beach, everything basically that's in communities here.
So you're getting a lot of value for your money there, and of course that isn't the only one that's off-plan. Rich is
I just want to chip in with one thing. You know, the down payment for those villas was 20%.
Which is, off the top of my head,
so 1.8 would be 10%. So 3.6 million dirhams was the down payment. So I only got 2 for that reason. It was just a bit. Pushing out for 3 was just a bit too much. So I only went with 2.
I wonder if we've got the ones next to each other.
Yeah, Yeah, because I'll make them into some huge mansion. I'll kind of merge them together and
One
have a
big
massive,
10-bedroom mansion with a bridge that goes over the top of it.
Exactly. Yeah, I queued up after I'd been queuing up at Dubai Mall for the new iPhone. Yeah, I just went
Great.
from one.
Oh, were
to
you
the
not
other.
at two places at once? Did you
Yeah,
did you not get someone to do it for you? Because that's what I did. I got someone to go from both locations. For me.
Oh yeah, you're just at home.
Played
Good
games.
one, yeah. Fair dues. Good move.
Yeah.
Good move.
See, that's what you should be thinking now. The other one that I'm actually quite interested in, and I do apologise if I'm talking too much about ones that I'm very interested in, because there are the Jebelani one is, but then the one that's here in D3 as well. It's by
Yes.
Maras.
Yeah.
I can't remember the full name of it, and I've been
Design quarter.
So it's called Design Quarter. Thanks, Simon. That's why we bring the expert on the show with us. This is I actually really like it. I really love the advertising they did for it.
Yeah.
It was so cartoony, and I can't remember who they partnered up with it, but I just love the campaign they had for it. And it's right down the road from us here, right?
Yes.
They have studios, 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, and I think
3 bedroom and 4 bedroom.
So they had a lot to offer, but the starting prices were.
Quite high.
Yeah, I think it was 1 million or something for a studio,
Yes.
and delivery is expected for May 2027.
Yes, that's
so.
correct.
That's in 4 years' time. Actually, no, less than 4 years' time, and it's just down the road. How cool is that?
Yeah, so I think that whole campaign, one, it's the first residential project in D3. Second, it's also freehold, so that's obviously going to be enticing. And another thing that's interesting is that they have a lot of layouts. So they have the studios, and then they have the 2 4-beds, they have lofts, they have duplexes. So it's not like you just get one single layout. And then the other thing is that it's the first sort of project here that's made for creative individuals. And that's why even the campaign, when they had that sort of creature going through D3 and all of that, it embodies that. And D3 is the hub for creativity, innovation, design, all of the sort of stuff for
Yeah,
that
very
reason.
much
So
so.
obviously the project would have to match.
Because that's what really got me about that. But moving on to other off-plan properties, there's a lot going on. I mean, Meydan is being expanded currently.
Yep.
I see that they're actually building a bigger road in there. That's because, of course, we have some property there that's off-plan.
Yes.
That's just launched.
So we have quite a few projects there. So in the previous episode, we discussed about how the whole Riviera development was coming about. So that's for apartments mainly. You have Keturah Reserve, which also features apartments and a mix of villas and townhouses. And this is going to be a luxury master community. It's massive. There are going to be thousands of units that are going to be entering the market here. And it also promotes sustainability, eco-living, things like that. What's interesting about Keturah, for me at least, not something that I think ever be able to afford, but they're also going to be featuring the Ritz-Carlton residences, and that's, again, first of its kind for this region. They have 12 exclusive mansions so far that have been launched. Now, I don't think these are mansions. I'll tell you why.
Are they 12 individual mansions or
Yes.
are they 12 different styles?
They're 12 individual mansions, but I would not consider them mansions. The reason being, I would consider them compounds on their own. These are villas, which are 45,000 square foot built up area. Chris, guess the price.
Built up area, so that we're going
Built up,
upwards.
yes.
So how many stories is this? 3, 4, 5?
No clue.
How big is the building that we're currently in?
25.
It must be.
100.
This must be close to 50,000 square foot.
Yes. Yeah. Imagine that as a house. Now,
How
those
much-
have already been sold out, by the way.
Of course, no surprise there. But
Yeah.
how much would these things set you back? Millions, of
Yes.
course.
Triple digit.
Okay, that's what I was going for. I was going to go for over 100 million. Oh, I'm going to say 137.5 million.
No, that's not even close.
Rich? Not even close.
210 million.
Very close. So the prices range from 177 million to 200.
Okay.
And it's currently topping out even further. Because again,
You wouldn't even need. So let's think about this. Let's put it in perspective, right? You get a 45,000 square foot
minimum, by the way,
mansion.
minimum.
Minimum. So even better. So you could probably go to about, if you want, 100,000 to be honest. You would never need to leave your house. You could franchise a shop. You could
Yes.
franchise a restaurant or a couple of restaurants. Supermarket. You
Mini
could
hospital.
you could literally have your own ecosystem within your own house.
Put it this way. Put it sorry to interrupt. Put it this way, right? So there are islands in the Maldives with hotels, resorts on an island that are smaller than that plot. So,
Let's do it. Let's all pitch in.
Yeah,
You
sure.
can make a Bayut house there. No.
I don't know what my bank balance is. It might be -3 at the moment. So sorry, I'm not contributing much at the moment. A couple of years down the line, maybe when the mortgage, it's time to repay the mortgage in full, I'll be able to get that 30 to you. But we can try. It's a good idea. But honestly, you know, if you had something like that, you never honestly need to leave the area,
Yes,
right?
you wouldn't.
Your family could live with you. Your
I
friends
wouldn't have
could
any
live with
money
you.
left to do it.
That'd
be it.
You could have floors in the house. You could have an entire floor dedicated to gaming. How cool would that be?
Not
That
just
would be
gaming,
pretty.
anything. I could have my mom on her own floor, be like, you do what you want. I'll come
This is
visit you
yours,
on
just
the
stay there.
weekends. Yeah.
You could have a room dedicated to KFC. You can
I
have all the
could,
KFC
I
memorabilia
could have
there.
my own KFC franchise on the property somewhere.
have
I
a
mean, how do
museum.
You could work there. So you could be
I'd die of a
paying
heart attack within a year, but you know, it'd be a hell of a year.
Yeah.
But of course, there's much more than 45,000 square foot properties for sale. Of course, there's one by Emaar now as well. Is it Emaar
Yes.
Oasis?
So it's called The Oasis.
The Oasis.
The Oasis. And this one is also a brand new launch. It's another master development, massive scale. It's supposed to plug in 7,000 units overall. Another unparalleled luxury sort of development.
There's another 45,000 square foot one as well, or is that the whole area?
No, it's not the whole area. It's massive. This is going to be a massive area across Al Qudra. So it's
Okay.
on that side of Dubai. And so far, they've only launched phase 1 so far. Off plan, you have villas starting from 8 million. This is just phase 1. I assume phase 2 will have double-digit numbers for this.
So that's what the tenth of the price? No, even more than that. Less.
Of
It's like
the mansion?
yeah.
Yeah, it
Tenth of
probably
the
would be.
price.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a feasible option for you as well.
Yeah, and then if you want to talk about budget-friendly off-plan, obviously, then you'd have to consider a lot of things, right? So when it comes to looking into off-plan, developer is obviously very important. You have names like Amar and Akil, all of these sort of places, all of these sort of developers that come about. And the thing about Dubai is that you build it and people will come, right? Regardless of where it is. And then that comes into the point of price point is there. If it's luxury, affordable. If not, location. That's the main thing that I think anyone looks at. You want to be close to either the city, the mall, your kid's school. You want to be close to your work. You want to be maybe just within the city, right? Everyone has different priorities when it comes to that. So for affordable developments, I think one of the places to look at now is Expo Valley, which is close to where you're at.
Yeah, it is.
It's on the
Out
other side.
on there, as people think it's in the middle of the desert, which it isn't really anymore. But yes, yeah, because I'm out at DIP. Yeah, Expo City. They are. When are they handing over the Expo Valley?
So it's supposed to begin in 2025, but they
Okay.
will be announcing more phases, I assume, because right now there are apartments and townhouses, and they've just announced townhouses now.
Okay, so
So
what
that
kind
should
of?
be-
Go ahead.
Yeah, that should be around like Q2 2025.
Okay, so what kind of price points are we looking at? Because we can kind of compare to
Compare.
the very, very opulent ones we've been talking about previously. Right?
So it starts at 1.3 million, which is not too bad considering pricing points here. So that's how it kind of starts. I think for villas, it's higher. I think it's around the 2 million mark. Yeah, which is not bad if it's a family house. If you think
No,
about it.
yeah, this is true. In an area which they're putting a lot into, and it's what do they say? Up and coming. It's
Yeah.
very up and coming area.
And the thing is, the city gets developed very quickly, right? Like you said, a lot of people think DIP, all of these areas are in the desert, and then you go there and they have massive communities which are ready. You have people already living there. You have schools coming up, you have hospitals coming up, supermarkets, restaurants, all of this sort of
The
stuff.
Mac Hills too, for example, like the things that are springing up in and around the Mac Hills too, you can, especially compared to when it first
Launched.
was ready, when
Yeah.
it first launched. It's so much has happened in a short space of time. So these places are not as remote as they seem.
Yes,
You know.
exactly. And if you compare the prices for the ready properties in the Mark Hills 2 now versus when it was off plan, you can already see the growth. And that's what's interesting about this market as well. This year is the first year, I would say, that off plan, when it comes to sales volume, has actually matched ready. Normally, when people would buy, they would buy ready. Now, when it comes to sales volume, it is matched. And in terms of sales value, off plan actually just it's ballooned like crazy.
Yeah, which is an interesting statistic because off-plan has always kind of been there, but it's always been overshadowed.
Yes.
Like you said, everyone kind of prefers to see something that's readily built because they can get a better understanding of what they're buying. But with off-plan, you don't really see it. You kind of see a concept or you see a show house
Yes.
that might not be exactly what you're looking for. So a lot of people are kind of skeptical about it. But because there's now so much off-plan coming in and there's so much available, people are obviously biting, you know, and it's more enticing, we said before. It's a budget-friendly alternative for you to get on the real estate ladder. Like I said before, I'm also looking at it, but do I want to buy something that I don't know about? If it's Midas, yes, 100%. I'd buy it in a heartbeat, just because of the characters they use alone. But the last off-plan development that we're going to talk about here is Damac Lagoons.
Yes.
Now, you guys were mentioning Damac Hills too before. I assume it's kind of within that area.
Yes,
Because
it
Damac
is.
kind of keep sort of everything together. And if it isn't, it's kind of on a long stretch of road where everything kind of is Damac.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even this one, Damac Lagoons, brand new community, lots of demand, lots of interest. We had people queuing up for this one as well. And this one's slightly different. I would say it's similar to Damac Hills, but it's more with a Mediterranean concept. So all of these communities are named after cities or countries on the Mediterranean side. So you have communities like Santorini and Portofino and all of this sort of stuff, Marbella, these kind of things. So you could say, oh yeah,
Is
I
that
live
the
in
party
Malta.
one? Is Marbella the party one?
I hope whoever moves into a Portofino, please buy a Ferrari Portofino so you can have your Portofino in your Portofino villa, please.
So yeah, and that's been very popular. Even recently, they launched the Morocco cluster. So that is a mix of affordable and luxury. So for affordable, you have your 2-3 bedroom townhouses, which start at around like 2 million, and then you have the 5 bedroom and up villas, which start at 14 million.
Okay.
So really, they have everything set up for, affordable price points, luxury price points, but it's still within Damac Lagoons. And then obviously you have the other communities like Santorini and all.
Where exactly is Damac Lagoons?
So it's supposed to be right next to Damac Hills.
Damac Hills 1.
Damac Hills 1.
Right,
Yes.
okay. All right.
It's not as far out as Damac Hills 2, thankfully.
No, yeah, it's quite considerably closer, yeah. Yeah, okay.
Well, there is a lot of off-plan developments to talk about, but unfortunately we don't have enough time to cover absolutely everything. But thank you so much for joining us. And if you want to know any more about the subject that we discussed on this episode of the Water Cooler Edit, you can check out the mybayut blog, which is bayut.com/mybayut. And don't forget to tell us in the comment section below which your favourite off-plan development is, and if you'll be buying a house that has 45,000 square foot and what you'd build on it. Because if it were for me, I would prefer to have it spread across like the land, not upwards. I prefer it to be like a large area, because then I can have a garage with many cars and many cats to run around it.
Yep. And speaking of that, if you want to learn more about off-plan transaction history, what areas have been popular, what the sales volume is like, what the sales transactions are like, you can actually head over to the Buy Transactions. All of the data that I've mentioned is publicly available there. That's what I've used. It's backed by DLD data. So yeah, you can just go ahead, explore, learn more about the market, and just stay informed.
You're listening to the Water Cooler Edit with Chris and Rich.